Good morning, folks. Welcome to the QT Bible Study with Steve Levitt. This is Steve Levitt. This is the live quiet time Bible study I do here every morning on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Honored to be here at your service. Honored to get to come together and fellowship. Beth, first one up on Facebook. Good morning, Justin and Kimberly. Julie on YouTube, Facebook user. Good morning. Good to see everybody this morning. No sunrise today. It's cloudy. We got hummingbirds, but no sunrise this morning like yesterday. We had a beautiful, beautiful sunrise during Bible study yesterday morning. But it is nice outside today. The birds are chirping. Might hear some turkey here in a little bit. Might even see some deer run across behind me. Not unusual. And we're going to have us a little Bible study this morning. Now, amazingly, I am here right now with you this morning because I took Marty to the airport this morning. We live an hour from the San Antonio airport. And I took her and her mother, Mims, my mother-in-law, to the airport this morning. They may be watching this morning from the airport. It's Mims's birthday. They're celebrating Mims. It's not today, but they're celebrating Mims's birthday along with Julie, and Tana, and Renee, and Feather. They're going to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Going to go over to Dolly World. My mother-in-law is a huge Dolly Parton fan. My wife is maybe even a bigger Dolly Parton fan. We have Dolly Parton everything around our house. And so they're going to Dolly World for a few days, flying out today. They're going to go celebrate Mims for a few days in what's the name of the town in Tennessee? Wherever it is in Tennessee. Unbelievable. Pigeon Forge. That's it. Pigeon Forge and the Smoky Mountains, I guess. They'll be up there for a few days, be back Sunday. So Jennifer says, that's my country where I'm from. My dog is named after Dolly. Jennifer. By the way, for Mims's birthday, Mims's grandmother had made a quilt, just the sheet, the pattern in the sheet quilt. Never finished the quilt. Mims has had this piece of cloth for years. It's Mims's grandmother, born in 1900. And Marty had kind of taken it over the years. We had it. And Jennifer Feinstell here on Facebook, good friends with Marty, offered to finish it as a quilt. And she did. And we presented it to Mims last night. This heirloom 1900s quilt got finished by Jennifer. She was so gracious. Jennifer, thank you. And if you could have been there whenever we presented this to Mims, Jennifer, you would know the beauty of what you've done. Mims was just overwhelmed with sentimental gratitude and whatnot. So it was really a really special, sweet moment. Thanks to Jennifer on Facebook. Thank you, Jennifer. Anyway, Pigeon Forge. That's it. There's another little town up there by Pigeon Forge where you drive over to. Everybody knows of it, but I can't remember the name of it too. I think they fly into Chattanooga, drive over to Pigeon Forge, Dolly World for the day. Then they're going to go to this other little town, Gatlinburg. Thank you, Deanna. Gatlinburg. They're going to go over there the next day and then back to Dolly World on Saturday, I think. So That's it. So I'm batching it. Me and Pete are holding the fort down for a few days. I got to water the garden, water Mims's plants. I got to keep the dog alive for 4 days. I'm running the show. So, all right, here we go. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. I think we got everybody here. Yep. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 25, out of the New Living Translation. We're going to kind of stick there, I think. Jason lived 5 minutes from Dolly World. How fun is that? Cool. Yeah, some beautiful pictures on the QT page of Pete and the Bluebonnets and the house and all that. I had to order a New Living Translation study Bible. I went ahead and got the Life Application Bible, Robert. You'll be glad. Ryrie doesn't have a study Bible in the NLT. Anyway, you know you're old when I had to order the large. I ordered the large print so I can read better without glasses. So anyway, 1 Corinthians 7, chapter 7, verse 25 is where we're going to pick up. Paul says, Paul writes to the church in Corinth, now about the young women who are not married yet. So he's going to speak to young women who are not married yet. If you're single, God's about to speak to you. If you're single, God is about to speak to you. This could be women or men, but here we go. Yet about young women who are not married yet. And you got to understand so much about culture to know why Paul even addresses this. The young woman, even an adult single woman, is still under the authority of her dad in her dad's home. And the issue of marriage was not just the way it is today. Oh yeah, I'm 21. Let's go get married. It was a very official, important, and family decision, kind of arranged marriages almost type scenario. Very different mindset about. She didn't just decide to go get married. She needed dad's approval. She needed family support, all that other stuff. It says, for young women who are not married yet, I do not have a commandment from the Lord for them, but the Lord in his kindness has given me wisdom that can be trusted, and I will share it with you. Because of the present crisis, I think it best to remain just as you are. If you have a wife, he switched. He's not just talking to young women or virgins, if you're reading the New American Standard. He's talking to single people because of the crisis. I don't know what the crisis was. You might have a note on that. Hi, Rebecca. Glad you're here. I'm not sure what he means by the crisis, but he says better to remain as you are. If you have a wife, though, basically, if you have a wife, do not end the marriage. If you're married, don't seek to end your marriage. If you don't have a wife, do not get married. If you do not have a wife, do not get married. But if you do get married, it is not a sin. It's not wrong. And if a young woman gets married, it is not a sin. However, I'm trying to spare you the extra problems that comes with marriage. I'm trying to spare you trouble. Let's just get this out of the way. This uncomfortable, awkward way Paul is talking about marriage. He's saying better not to get married. I don't think he's saying God prefers you not to get married. This is Paul's personal conviction and opinion, he says. This isn't a message from God to say you have to do one thing or another. He's going to say that later. And I don't agree with the way this reads. In other words, as though almost it's better to not get married. Is it better to not get married? No. Is it what he's saying is, let me just help you out. what Paul is saying is you're able to do more ministry if you're not married. That's the point Paul is trying to make. He's not really saying, should you get married or not get married? But Paul was so single-minded towards ministry that if that's the only thing that matters in life, like it does to Paul, then being single allows you to accomplish that goal better. He's going to explain that in just a minute. So that's what he's talking about as we read through this. That's what he's talking about. And he says, yes, Pamela, he says, I'm trying to spare you the trouble of marriage. He looks at marriage as trouble. I don't. I've never thought this to be true. Being married doesn't bring more trouble in my life. Being married brings more joy in my life. Being married actually brings less trouble in my life. Being married is the greatest thing I've ever done in my life. Being married was what I looked forward to since I was 7 years old. I couldn't wait to be married. My whole life, all I've ever wanted to do is be married. Marriage is beautiful. Marriage is wonderful. And I love marriage. I am really not looking forward to the next 4 days with my wife gone. And it's not because she cooks and cleans. Ask her. I cook as much as she does. I don't rely on her for food. She'll certainly cook me anything I want her to cook, but I'll cook her anything she wants me to cook. It's not about the house, or I don't care about a clean house, to be honest with you. She's my person. She's my half. She's my life. She's what it brings me joy and peace and happiness. I miss her. I need her. I want her. I desire her. I love marriage. So I don't know what he's talking about here in my own life, that I'm trying to spare you extra problems that come with marriage. Now, on the other hand, I'm a marriage counselor. That's what I do for a living. That's how I make money, is counseling couples. On the other hand, this verse is why I'll never not have a job. This verse is why it's what I do all day long, every day. This verse is about my whole career in ministry. 90% of what I've done in my life is this verse, helping couples who have problems and trouble in their marriages. Yes, for many, marriage is troublesome. Why? Why is marriage hard for some and not for others? Why? What makes marriage hard? You want to hear a little marriage advice, a little marriage counsel? Fear and selfishness. Fear and selfishness. Marty is sending me pictures as we speak from the airport of all the girls getting ready to go to Pigeon Forge. Fear and selfishness. There's other reasons, but when someone is fearful, then they self-protect. I'm reading out of the New Living Translation today, Country Fried. Fear causes you to struggle with being giving in the marriage, being outward in the marriage. Fear makes you inward. Fear makes you self-focused and self-protective. Fear brings trouble in marriage. Selfishness, greed. I want what I want. I want to indulge my flesh. I want to spend the money that I want. I want to fish when I want. I want to hunt when I want. Selfishness is the second reason there are many troubles in marriage. Whenever you get married and you decide that, according to what we've already read in 1 Corinthians 7 and in Ephesians 5, that I My body is not my own, it's yours. Remember 1 Corinthians 7, verse 3. Don't deprive each other. My body is not my own, it's yours. Verse 3. Whenever you decide that that's what marriage is, I married Marty Heflin and made her my wife and said, Marty Heflin, I sign over the title to my life and to my body to you. It is now yours. Do with it as you wish. If you need this, then I'm on it. If you want that, then I'll do what I can to accomplish that. I give my life to you. In sickness and in health till death do us part. I committed and gave you my word that I will love you, serve you, and give myself to you till the day I die. Life isn't about whether I get to go fishing or not. Life is about whether or not Marty gets to go to Pigeon Forge and see Dolly or not. Whenever you live your life in marriage like that, then you love your marriage. Whenever you don't live your life in fear and selfishness, you will have trouble in marriage. That's why the divorce rate is 50%. Hey, Steve, we're on the plane. Thanks for taking us this morning. It must be Marty. I can't see her name. Ladies on the Bible study, I promise to get questions out soon. Make sure and read chapters 1 through 8 on God's chosen fast. I guess Marty gave us a departing word as she's on the plane and watching. All right, Marty, I love you. Have fun. Where did I get to? You'll have trouble in marriage. However, Paul says, I'm trying to spare you extra problems that come with marriage. Let's go ahead and read the rest of this. Verse 29. Now let me say this, dear brothers and sisters. The time that remains is short, so husbands should not let marriage be their major concern. That's not as it sounds. He's saying time is short. Ryrie put this in a really good way. What verse is that? 29. Hang on. Yeah. The New American Standard says those who, the time is short, the New American Standard says, so those who have wives try to continue ministry, is what he's saying, as though you don't have a wife. Don't get married and forget to do your work for the Lord. That's the idea that Paul's trying to portray here, that just because you're married doesn't mean you just quit doing ministry and only focus on your wife. Instead, God first, wife second. Does that mean that God first, so what, you deprive wife? No. Does that mean that you God first, wife second? Not ministry first, wife second, not church first, my wife second, not serving the poor first, wife second, God first, wife second. Do you see the difference? I do answer questions at the end. There's a very big difference with you being married to God and then your spouse, as opposed to you being married to the church, ministry, serving, and things like that. Those are very different things. I hope you understand the difference there. Hey, you guys with us? Ignore everybody else on TikTok this morning. Just ignore everybody else like I'm doing. And let's stay focused on the word this morning. Lots of distractions on TikTok this morning. Can y'all hear the hummingbird? Verse 30. Happiness or sadness or wealth should not keep anyone from doing God's work. Can you just underline that verse? Just to be happy, or because you're sad all the time, or even the pursuit of wealth should not keep anyone from doing God's work. Those in frequent contact with these things of the world should make good use of them without becoming attached to them, for the world and all it contains will pass away. This is a really, really, really good verse. I want you to understand this verse. This verse isn't saying don't be sad. Don't be happy. It's not saying to not be happy. It's not saying to not be wealthy. I love this verse because it says what I've said many, many, many times. I've said what it says, I guess, many, many, many times, that it's okay to be in the world. Just don't be of the world. It says don't be attached to these things of the world. Great, make money. Great, be super happy all the time. Great, get married, Paul says. Great, enjoy things of this world. Just don't be attached to it. Don't let it control you. Don't let it be in charge of your life. Don't let it be your obsession. Yeah, it does say the world will pass away very soon. The problem is we don't have context for what very soon means. A day is like 1,000 to God, Chowda. So very soon can be a day or 1,000 years or 10,000 years. We don't know. Verse 32. In everything you do, I want you to be free from the concerns of this life. Are you concerned about things of this life? Paul says he wants us to be free from the concerns of this life. An unmarried man can spend his time doing the Lord's work and thinking how to please him. So what do you do, single people? There it is. There's your verse. Verses 32 and 33, single people. An unmarried person is free from the concerns of this life, spend time doing the Lord's work and thinking how to please him. You can do more work if you're single, because if you're married, we have a biblical mandate to put your spouse's needs above your own. So you're conflicted, right? Verse 33, but a married man can't do that so well. He has to think about his earthly responsibilities and how to please or take care of his wife. That's right. That's a biblical mandate. If you're married, you're supposed to take care of your wife. And so you won't have as much time to do the Lord's work. True. Verse 34. His interests are divided. In the same way, a woman who is no longer married or has never been married can be more devoted to the Lord in body and in spirit, while the married woman must be concerned about her earthly responsibilities and how to please her husband. Yes, she does. And that's a beautiful thing. Husbands, wives, you should be concerned about how to please, honor, and meet the needs of your spouse. That's biblical. Scripture says that we're supposed to do that. And God blessed marriage and encouraged marriage. He said, be married, be fruitful, and multiply the earth. Verse 35. I'm saying this for your benefit, not to place restrictions on you. So Paul qualifies this and saying, hey, I'm trying to give you my opinion, which I think will benefit you, but no restrictions. There's not a right or wrong. You shouldn't say, I have to do this or not do this from what Paul's saying here. There's not a right or wrong. I want you to do whatever will help you serve the Lord best with a few distractions as possible. But if a man thinks he ought to marry his fiancée because he has trouble controlling his passion and time is passing, it is all right. I love that verse. Better to marry than burn with lust. It says, it is not a sin. Let them marry. But if he has decided firmly not to marry, then there is no urgency. And if he can control his passion, he does well not to marry. So a person who marries does well, and the person who doesn't marry does even better. Better to marry than burn with lust. He says, if you can't control your passion, better to get married. That would be me. That would be most men and many women I know. The passion of not just sex, but the desire for connectedness. I had somebody on here ask the other day, well, is it okay if we live together in the commitment like marriage? No. That's not a commitment to live together. The commitment is get married and then play marriage. Don't play marriage without the commitment of marriage. And if you can't commit to marriage, I don't care what the reason is, then you don't get to play married. Better to marry than burn with lust, which is most of us. Darn, Chowda. You didn't make it, brother. Sorry. Keep trying. Next time you can try again. Verse 39. A wife is married to her husband as long as he lives. If her husband dies, she's free to marry whomever she wishes, but this must be a marriage acceptable to the Lord. If your husband dies or if your wife dies, like my wife died, you're free to remarry. Just marry a believer. Marry someone who's on the railroad tracks running down towards God with you, not someone you're going to drag along spiritually or someone who's dragging you along spiritually. Don't be unequally yoked in that way. Not just a non-Christian, but even a Christian who isn't ministry minded like you or isn't like-minded like you. Marry well, it says. If you're going to remarry, pick carefully who you remarry. Someone who's going to benefit you and you're going to benefit them. But in my opinion, it would be better for her if she doesn't marry again. And I think I'm giving you counsel from God's Spirit when I say this. In another passage, Paul says, young widows remarry so you don't burn with lust. Older women stay single. So Paul's all over the place on this. He's saying, I'm not saying one way or the other. He's just saying, it's my opinion. You can do more work for the Lord when you're single. Maybe it should be, make sure that while you are single, do the work for the Lord and then celebrate your marriage. So there's that passage. It's a tough passage. It sure really sounds like, I don't know, it's awkward, confusing the way Paul puts it, but we know the big picture. God blesses marriage. God wants marriage. God loves marriage. And if you're married, love it and enjoy it. I think the real message is if you're single, until God gives you marriage, use it for God's glory. That's my takeaway. All right, let's pray and then I'll read comments and questions. And we'll go from there. Lord, thank you for today, for a beautiful morning. Lord, keep Mims and Tana and Julie and Marty, Renee and Feather. Lord, keep them safe. Help them to have a really great time away from their anchors of husbands and the responsibilities of their homes. Lord, help them just to be free and enjoy their time up there. I pray, Father, that you would bless all the folks with prayer requests here on the QT Bible study. that you would comfort those who are hurting and sad. Lord, and I pray for our marriages, that you help us to honor our spouses as well as you. And Lord, I pray for the single people that are not married who are watching and listening right now. Lord, I pray that their heart would be comforted, but that they would also be ministry minded and focused on how they can do ministry for you in their singleness. Thanks. All righty then. Questions. Hindle said, my sermon note says there was current persecution by Nero as well as famine. Those were the present crisis and reason not to rush into marriage. Paul says it's time like these is right now. Gotcha. Did Chowda get obnoxious again? Man, I hate that. I kind of like Chowda. I wish that he'd stick around. I guess it's a he, would stick around and be polite and kind enough to have adult conversation, but he can't seem to do that. He gets rude and disrespectful. What he does is he jumps on and he baits us, and somebody starts being smarty with him, smarty pants, and then he riles everybody up. I just think that we should ignore him or just keep saying, hey, Jesus loves you when Chowda comes on. He's been on and off for a few years now. I mean, he comes and goes, but he gets kicked off most times. Hey, by the way, did y'all hear this deal? They're going to vote tomorrow, maybe, on ban TikTok. That the Senate is. Does anybody know any more about this? Would it be that the Senate says, okay, we're going to get rid of TikTok, and basically TikTok's just gone? They vote today, Amanda says. Yeah, I don't know. Does that just mean, okay, we in TikTokville, it's just over. No more TikTok for Americans. Mr. Wonderful is considering buying them, though. All right. Yeah, he's on and off. If you're on TikTok, remember Facebook, QT Bible Study on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram under my name, I think just Steve Levitt. So if for some reason TikTok is gone, I would love for TikTok to be an American company. I think it's half owned. I've heard everything else. I don't like that China owns it. I don't like that. I do think that they do seek to influence through what media gets through and doesn't get through. I don't like a lot about TikTok, but it's been a ministry platform that God has used tremendously. So I'm kind of neutral on if they get rid of. I want them to get rid of TikTok if there's truly just cause for the problems that TikTok offers. I'm completely fine with that. We'll jump over to Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube and Twitter. But as long as it's here, I'm going to keep letting God use it to his glory. Rumble may buy Rumble. I don't. What do y'all? Who is Mr. Wonderful and Rumble? I don't know who that is. Are you talking about Trump or are you talking about Elon? Or neither of those? Mr. Who's Mr. Oh, is Mr. Wonderful? Is that a Cuban? Mark Cuban? No. Oh, yeah. Mr. Wonderful on. I know who that is. That's the guy that sits in the middle. He's real rude, obnoxious. He's a jerk, really. He's rude and obnoxious. That guy. That's who y'all are talking about, Mr. Wonderful. He calls himself Mr. Wonderful. What are you under on TikTok? This is QT Bible Study on TikTok. I also have another account called Steve Life Tips on TikTok. But the one we use currently is QT Bible Study. If it gets banned, then we jump over to Steve Life Tips on TikTok. So, all right. Yeah. Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank. Got it. I know who. Baldy guy, the rude guy that sits in the middle. Yeah. Rumble is another platform. Yeah. Yeah. I tried the Trump platform too. I forget which one it was called. I didn't love it, but I don't know. I'm just going to show up every morning. And I put this out on Twitter. I get 0 on Twitter. I still go live there every day, hoping that someday, I don't know, somehow it takes off. But I don't even know what my Twitter account is. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know nothing. I'm connected somewhere on Twitter, but it has done 0. Yeah, if TikTok disappears, then Rumble may take off. All right, let's remember Rumble. I'll make an account. If TikTok goes away, I'll make a Rumble account. I've never even heard of Rumble. It's the equivalent of YouTube. I'll make a Rumble account, and y'all can come find the QT Bible Study on Rumble. We'll make that happen. Any other questions, comments? Clapper is almost identical to TikTok. Clapper. Never heard of Clapper. Rumble is like conservative YouTube. All right. See, that's what I thought, Robert. I thought it was something like that. Robert says, when I called my New Jersey representative, man, Robert's all over it. He said it's not to ban TikTok, but to U.S. monitor TikTok. The U.S. would monitor or control maybe some of TikTok. Always go to YouTube if I can't find you on Facebook, Christy says. Yeah, I'm always there on YouTube. CLB Apper. I don't know what that is. There's no Big Joe. Big guy Joe. Big guy Joe. You go back and forth on your who you are. I see big guy sometimes, then big guy Joe. US wants money for TikTok. Elon said he's going to buy TikTok. Yeah. They want a company in the US to filter to be sure it's legit. The election is coming. More excuses. It is a marketing genius. All right, I'm done. Hope you guys. Hi, Maddie. My daughter Maddie is on this morning. Ashley's on here also. Madison. Is that Maddie? No, it's not my daughter Madison. That's my nephew's wife, Madison. There's 2 Madison Levitts. My nephew's wife, and my daughter. I think that's Wildorado Madison. All right. Hope you guys have a great day. Keep on keeping on. Love y'all. See you back here tomorrow. Bye-bye. TikTok, have a great day. 4,260 likes, 800 viewers on TikTok today. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Love y'all. Keep on keeping on. See you.